Welcome to Heartbreak Chronicles. At the board meeting, my wife's mother, Victoria, the CEO, slammed a report in front of me in front of a dozen executives. Holden, you're fired. Poor performance. The company doesn't keep idle people. The conference room fell silent. No one spoke up for me. Sitting next to Victoria was Marcus, the new technology director, with a smug smile on his face. That evening, I came home. Celeste sat at the dining table and pushed a piece of paper toward me. A list of shared apartments. 5 addresses with the cheapest one circled in red pen. East side of the city, a village district, $500 a month rent, 40 minutes walk from the subway station. You're unemployed. It's not appropriate for you to keep living here. She looked at her phone, not even giving me eye contact. I discussed it with my mom. You're on your own now. I looked at this woman who 3 years ago said, I don't regret marrying you. I said nothing, picked up my backpack and turned to leave. She didn't know that inside my backpack was the lifeline of Swift Logistics, full administrative access to the Beehive system. They didn't know that the system which boosted the company's revenue from 20 million to 50 million didn't belong to Swift Logistics at all. 3 days later, Monday night at 7 o'clock sharp, I pressed the button. The dispatch system in all 18 warehouses of Swift Logistics nationwide began to fall into chaos. By Wednesday morning, my phone showed 88 missed calls. Victoria and Celeste finally realized that the one they fired wasn't a useless son-in-law, but the person who had their company by the throat. But it was too late. 3 years ago, I wasn't a live-in son-in-law. I was an independent algorithm engineer who optimized systems for logistics companies. At that industry exchange conference, Celeste sat in the front row and asked a professional question. Mr. Holden, how does this system handle concurrent orders during peak periods? After the conference, she asked for my contact information. She said her mother's company needed a technology upgrade. Swift Logistics had annual revenue of just over 20 million and was stuck at a bottleneck. The system was outdated and inefficient. We met frequently to discuss solutions. She was smart, accompanied me to inspect warehouses, stayed up late testing algorithms, and brought me coffee when we hit roadblocks. 6 months later, she confessed her feelings, saying she liked the way I focused on my work. I believed her. The day the Beehive route optimization algorithm went live, delivery efficiency increased by 40% and costs dropped by 35%. Victoria was all smiles at the celebration banquet. Holden, you're our family's lucky star. Celeste said, Mom is very satisfied with you. I don't regret marrying you. The wedding was simple. My parents came from our hometown, wearing ill-fitting new clothes, sitting awkwardly in the corner. After marriage, I moved into Celeste's apartment, 120 square meters, much better than the single room I was renting. Victoria gave me the position of head of the technology department, with a monthly salary of $20,000. Half of what I earned as a freelancer. But she said, family doesn't worry about these things. I truly didn't worry about it. Watching Beehive make the company run more smoothly, with orders doubling, I was happier than anyone. But I wasn't stupid. My college classmate Nathan, an intellectual property lawyer, had warned me, Holden, your algorithm is very valuable. Don't give it away carelessly. So before deploying the system, I registered a small company, Beehive Intelligence Technology. Registered capital of $50,000, just me alone. I registered the software copyright and core patents of the Beehive algorithm under this company's name. Then I authorized Swift Logistics to use it. The authorization agreement was drafted by Nathan. It was very favorable to Swift Logistics, only charging $50,000 per year in licensing fees. But there were 2 core clauses. Intellectual property rights would forever belong to Beehive Intelligence. If the basis of cooperation was maliciously destroyed, the licensor had the right to unilaterally suspend services. When Victoria signed it, she just glanced at it and signed. Your family, why make it so complicated, son? Celeste chimed in from the side. Honey, you're too meticulous. Their lawyer also looked at it. No one cared. The prospective son-in-law's own little company, with ridiculously low licensing fees, what could go wrong? In their eyes, this was just moving money from one hand to the other. I said nothing. quietly put away the contract. Life after marriage was mundane and busy. I left early and came home late every day, maintaining the system and optimizing algorithms. Beehive ran stably, and the company's performance kept rising. Revenue reached 35 million in the first year and broke through 50 million in the second year. Victoria would tell everyone my son-in-law is capable. But at family gatherings, I was always the one sitting in the corner, introduced as the tech guy. I never minded. Celeste was decent to me, though sometimes she complained I wasn't romantic enough, that I worked too much overtime, but overall it was harmonious. The turning point came 6 months ago. The company hired a new technology director, Marcus. Overseas background, supposedly worked at some logistics giant in Singapore for 5 years. The son of Victoria's old friend, with a stellar resume and refined manners. At the welcome meeting, Victoria introduced him with pride all over her face. With Director Marcus, our company will reach new heights. The first thing Marcus did after taking over the technology department was to demand that I hand over all the source code and documentation of the Beehive system, saying he needed to review it. Manager Holden, this is standard procedure. I need to understand the system architecture. He smiled politely. I refused. The system is running stably. There's no need to modify the underlying code. His smile froze for a moment. He didn't say anything more. Over the next few months, the office atmosphere changed. Previously, I reported directly to Victoria, but now everything had to go through Marcus first. Marcus led all new projects in the technology department. I was marginalized, only responsible for the daily maintenance of Beehive. Celeste also began to change. She spoke less and less when she came home from work, and her eyes avoided mine. 2 months ago, one evening, I came home late from overtime and heard Celeste on the balcony talking on the phone. Mom, I know, but he is my husband after all. I understand. Marcus is indeed more outstanding. Okay, I'll listen to you. I stood at the door. The keys in my hand fell to the floor. Celeste turned around and saw me, her face going pale. You're home. What are you talking about? My voice was very calm. Nothing, company business. She avoided my gaze. That night, I lay in bed with my eyes open until dawn. I figured out a lot of things. The next morning, I sent Nathan a message. Help me prepare. I might need to use that agreement. A month later, the opportunity came. A large client's order experienced a delivery delay. Although it was only 3 hours late and the client didn't complain, Victoria seized this excuse. At Friday's board meeting, in front of a dozen executives, she slammed an investigation report in front of me. Holden, look at this. A system failure caused a delay in the client's order, creating a terrible impact on the company. Her voice was icy cold. I opened the report. It was full of technical jargon piled up and conclusions taken out of context. Obviously written by Marcus. This delay was because the customer changed their delivery address. The system needed time to recalculate the route. This is normal. Enough. Victoria interrupted me. Your technology can no longer keep up with the company's development. Effective today, you're fired. The conference room was dead silent. Some people looked down, some glanced at me, but no one spoke. Marcus sat next to Victoria with a smug smile on his face. I can have a lawyer come verify the authenticity of this report, I said. Whatever. Victoria stood up. HR will process your termination procedures. Now please leave this building immediately. Security entered the conference room to escort me to pack my things. My workstation was monitored. I couldn't take any company files. But I didn't need to take anything. The laptop with the system administrative access had always been in my backpack. I swiped my access card for the last time and walked out of the Swift Logistics office building. Friday afternoon at 3 o'clock. The sunlight was harsh. I didn't go straight home. I went to Nathan's law firm and told him every detail. Holden, are you sure you want to do this? Nathan looked at me. Once you start, there's no turning back. I'm sure. All right. He opened his computer. I'll draft the notice to suspend services now. According to the contract, we need to give them 72 hours notice. The notification email was sent out Friday evening at 7 o'clock. Sent to Swift Logistics Legal Department and Victoria's email. The content was brief. Given that the cooperating party unilaterally terminated the employment contract of our legal representative, Mr. Holden, without just cause, constituting malicious destruction of the basis of cooperation, as stipulated in Article 8 of the Authorization Agreement, Beehive Intelligence Technology Company, Limited will suspend all technical services to Swift Logistics after 72 hours. I knew this email wouldn't be taken seriously. To them, I was just a fired employee. What waves could I make? Friday night at 9 o'clock, I went home. This was the opening scene. Celeste pushed the shared apartment list toward me. You're unemployed. It's not appropriate to keep living here. I looked at that piece of paper. East Side Village District, $500 a month rent, 40 minutes walk from the subway station. You know what, Celeste? I finally spoke. 3 years ago when you asked me that question about concurrent orders, I already knew you had done your homework beforehand. That wasn't your own question. Your mom told you to ask it, but I was still willing to believe that at least a little bit of it was because you genuinely liked me. Her expression changed, but she said nothing. I picked up my backpack. I'll move out, but not to the place you circled. Whatever. She looked down at her phone. Just leave the keys on the shoe cabinet. I put the keys down and took one last look at this place I once thought was home. Then I turned and left. As the elevator descended, my phone rang. It was Nathan. Holden. The notice has been delivered. The 72-hour countdown has begun. Are you really ready? I'm ready, I said. Let the storm rage harder. Monday. The system begins to spiral out of control. I went to a hotel I had already booked. Business chain hotel, single room, $298 per night. I opened my laptop and logged into the Beehive system back-end management interface. The system was running normally. 18 warehouses nationwide, over 300 delivery routes, processing more than 5,000 orders daily. This was the crystallization of 3 years of my hard work. It was also the core secret of how Swift Logistics grew from 20 million to 50 million in revenue. I didn't perform any operations, just quietly watched those real-time jumping data. 72 hours later, Monday night at 7 o'clock sharp, I pressed the pause button. Technically speaking, I didn't destroy anything. I just stopped Beehive Intelligence's cloud server from authorizing API access to Swift Logistics. The system itself was still running, but it had lost core algorithmic support, like a race car with the engine still running but without the ECU control system. The effect wasn't immediate. It was slow but deadly. Monday night, real-time traffic data couldn't update. Some drivers began receiving route plans with deviations. The first call came at 11 at night. Ryan from the technology department. Holden. The system seems to have some issues. Route planning response time has gotten longer. Can you help take a look? I looked at the name on my phone screen. I didn't answer. Tuesday morning. The warehouse's intelligent picking paths began going wrong. Picking tasks that originally only required walking 300 meters now required going in circles around the warehouse. Picker efficiency plummeted. Orders began piling up. Tuesday afternoon, order processing speed collapsed. Peak hour concurrent processing capacity went down completely. Marcus started calling. 5 times in 1 hour. Holden, there's a problem with the system. You must come back and fix it. Manager Holden, I know you're upset, but we can't delay the company's business. What exactly do you want? Name your price. I blocked his number. Tuesday night, Celeste's call came. Holden, I know you're angry, but what good does this do you? Honey, can we talk this through? If we keep fighting like this, nobody wins. Please, for the sake of our past feelings, can you help? I listened to her voice change from interrogation to pleading, from tough to weak. Then I hung up, turned off the phone. Wednesday morning, the system completely fell apart. Backlogged orders exceeded 3,000. 5 warehouses overflowing. Customer complaints flooded the customer service hotline. I got a new SIM card and turned on my phone. The notification bar exploded. 88 missed calls. 60 text messages, 45 WeChat messages, a dozen emails. I went through these messages one by one, from technology department employees, from customers, from suppliers, and finally from Victoria and Celeste. Victoria's messages went from commands to threats, from threats to pleading. Holden, call me back immediately. You're committing a crime. I will sue you. We can talk. What are your terms? Please, the company is finished. All the employees will lose their jobs. Do you have a heart? Celeste's were even more desperate. Honey, I was wrong. I really know I was wrong. Let's not get divorced, okay? Come back, and everything will be like before. My mom agreed to give you a raise. The technology director position is yours. Holden, you can't be so heartless. We're husband and wife after all. The last message was sent at 3 in the morning on Wednesday. If you don't come back, I'm going to your parents' house to find you. After reading all these messages, I turned off my phone and went out for breakfast. Near the hotel was an old-fashioned bun shop. The soup dumplings were authentic. I ordered a steamer basket of buns and a bowl of tofu pudding and ate slowly. The TV in the shop was playing morning news, and the neighbors were discussing last night's game. Everything was very ordinary, as if those 88 missed calls happened in another world. Thursday, truth at the negotiating table. After breakfast, I returned to the hotel, opened my laptop, and logged into my new email. There was an email in my inbox from Nathan. Holden, their lawyer has contacted me. They want to arrange a meeting. Should we meet? I replied, yes, but not to discuss restoring services, to discuss acquisition. 2 hours later, Nathan replied, they agreed. Tomorrow afternoon at 3 o'clock at my law firm. Thursday afternoon, I appeared at Nathan's conference room on time. Victoria sat across from me. She looked much more haggard, with dark circles under her eyes and her hair not as refined as before. Celeste sat beside her, head down the whole time. Next to them were 2 lawyers in suits. Holden. Victoria saw me, her voice containing both fatigue and suppressed anger. What exactly do you want? I want to discuss acquisition, I said. Beehive Intelligence will acquire the usage rights to Swift Logistics' Beehive system, including related technical documentation, data interfaces, and authorization agreements. Are you crazy? Marcus was also there. He stood up excitedly. You're just a broken little company. What are you going to acquire us with? I glanced at him and said nothing. Nathan took out a document from his folder and handed it over. This is our acquisition proposal. Beehive Intelligence is valued at $1.5 million to permanently buy out the technology authorization to Swift Logistics. Payment terms are negotiable, but there's one prerequisite. Mr. Holden retains all intellectual property rights to the Beehive system and only authorizes Swift Logistics for indefinite use. Victoria took the document and quickly scanned it. Her lawyer whispered something beside her. You're robbing us. Victoria looked up. 1.5 million? The system is our company's core asset. No, Nathan said calmly. The intellectual property rights of the system belong to Beehive Intelligence. Your company only has usage rights. This was written very clearly in the authorization agreement 3 years ago. If your company doesn't agree to our proposal, Beehive Intelligence will license the system to other logistics companies, such as your competitor Prosperity Logistics. The conference room was quiet for a few seconds. You've already contacted Prosperity? Victoria's voice trembled slightly. I nodded. We talked yesterday. They're very interested in the Beehive system, willing to pay $800,000 per year in licensing fees. 3-year contract. This wasn't a bluff. I really did contact Prosperity Logistics. Their general manager was one of my former clients and knew my technical capabilities well. After seeing the system demo, he immediately expressed willingness to cooperate. Victoria's face became very ugly. She and her lawyer discussed in low voices for a few minutes, then looked at Celeste. Celeste raised her head, her eyes red. Holden, can't we really talk? You hate me, I understand, but there are over 100 employees in the company. They're innocent. That's why I'm giving you a solution. I said. 1.5 million for buyout, or watch the system be used by your competitors to crush you. Your choice. You've changed. Celeste started crying. You weren't like this before. I looked at her. Thought about 3 years ago at that conference venue. That girl who smiled so innocently. Those times she kept me company during overtime, all that tenderness I once believed in. You made me change, I said. I used to believe sincerity could be met with sincerity, that ability would earn respect. But you taught me that in your eyes, I was just a tool. Victoria closed her eyes and took a deep breath. Give me 3 days to raise the money. Fine, Nathan said. But until the contract is signed, the system will remain in suspended status. You're trying to drive us to death. Marcus finally couldn't hold back. Do you know how much the company loses every day? You. Enough, Marcus. Victoria interrupted him, waving her hand wearily. Go outside. Marcus froze. He looked at Victoria, then at me, and finally walked out of the conference room. After the door closed, only a few of us remained in the conference room. Holden, Victoria began, her voice carrying something close to pleading for the first time. I can give you 1.5 million, but I want to ask, is this really what you want? Of course not, I said. What I wanted was respect, recognition, a home. But those are things you can no longer give me. So I can only take what I can get. Celeste cried even harder, but I didn't look at her again. 3 days later, a new beginning. The contract was signed. Victoria raised the 1.5 million, and we completed all procedures at the notary office. After the contract took effect, I reopened the system authorization. Swift Logistics resumed operations, but was severely damaged. Those 5 days of chaos cost them 3 major clients, nearly $500,000 in compensation, and employee morale hit rock bottom. Meanwhile, Prosperity Logistics' Beehive system officially went live. What I gave Prosperity was an upgraded version of the Beehive system, with many more optimization features. Prosperity's delivery efficiency immediately increased by 45%, and they began aggressively seizing market share. Swift Logistics customers were lost one after another. Victoria tried to fight back, investing heavily in upgrading the original system. But Marcus couldn't understand the underlying logic of my code, let alone optimize it. They hired several outsourcing teams, spent hundreds of thousands, but the system stability got worse and worse. 6 months later, Swift Logistics' market share shrank by 30%. Victoria tried various methods, price cuts, expansion, marketing, but nothing could make up for the loss of core competitiveness. During this period, Celeste sent me many messages. Holden, are you really going to drive us to extinction? The company can barely hold on. Are you satisfied now? I know you hate me, but please spare my mom. This business is all she has in her life. I never replied. I was busy. Beehive intelligence technology developed rapidly under my management. Besides Prosperity Logistics, I signed 3 more mid-sized logistics companies. I invested all 1.5 million from Swift Logistics into R&D, hired 5 engineers, and rented a small office. Nathan handled all the legal work for me, ensuring every contract was watertight. My father, an honest construction worker, heard his son had started a company and came specially from our hometown to quietly help me clean the office. Son, he made me tea when I was working overtime. Now that you're doing well, Dad can rest easy. When you were at that company before, Dad always felt you were unhappy but couldn't say why. Dad, I'm very happy now, I said. I'm doing my own thing now. 1 year later, Swift Logistics was acquired at a low price by a large logistics conglomerate. The acquisition payment Victoria received was only enough to pay off the company's debts. The enterprise she built with her own hands just disappeared like that. After the acquisition was completed, the new owner cut most of the middle management. Marcus was in the first batch to be laid off. Celeste was transferred to a branch office as an ordinary employee, with her salary cut in half. The last time we met, she contacted me for the last time that winter. Holden, can we meet? I arranged to meet her at a coffee shop. When she arrived, She was wearing an affordable down jacket, and her makeup wasn't as refined as before. We sat facing each other. She held her coffee cup for a long time before speaking. "How are you doing?" "Pretty good. The company is developing. We just got an angel investment," I said calmly. "How about you?" "Not bad." She smiled, the smile somewhat bitter. "My mom is resting at home now. Says she doesn't want to start a business again. Marcus went to Shenzhen. I heard he's a technical supervisor at a small company. I'm just continuing my old line of work at the new company." "That's good," I said. "Holden," she suddenly said, "I want to apologize to you. At that time, I was really influenced by my mom. I thought you were just a technician, thought we could find someone better, but now I understand. You were the most precious." I looked at her, looked at this woman who once made my heart flutter, now with only fatigue and regret in her eyes. "Celeste," I said, "the biggest mistake you and your mom made wasn't firing me, and it wasn't looking down on me. It was that from the very beginning you never treated me as a person with dignity and value. You only treated me as a tool, a code machine, a pawn that could be discarded at any time." She lowered her head, tears dripping into her coffee cup. "So," I continued, "saying sorry now is too late, not because I can't forgive you, but because I no longer need your apology to prove my value." I stood up and left money for the coffee. "Take care." As I walked out of the coffee shop, it was snowing outside. I stood on the street calling for a car when my phone rang. It was the general manager of Prosperity Logistics calling. "Mr. Holden, good news. We just won the largest e-commerce logistics contract in the Yangtze River Delta, all thanks to the advantages of the Beehive system. The board has decided to make an additional investment to establish a dedicated technology subsidiary and wants to invite you to be a technical partner. Send the specific proposal to my email." "I'll take a look," I said. "Okay. By the way, after the new year, we're planning to do a presentation at the industry conference, with the theme being how the Beehive system is changing the logistics industry. We'd like to invite you to be the keynote speaker." "Sure." After hanging up, the car arrived. Outside the window, the snow was falling harder. The city lights appeared warm and hazy in the snow. From that night, when I was handed a list of shared apartments to now, exactly 1 year and 3 months had passed. I didn't become a multimillionaire, nor did I build any business empire. I was just an ordinary person with technical skills who, step by step, walked out of that quagmire where I was treated as a tool and found a platform that truly respected my value. As for those 88 missed calls, I never called back. Not because of hate, but because there was no need. Those people who once caused me pain have now become supporting characters in my story. And my life is finally starring me. The car stopped downstairs at the company. I picked up my bag and walked in. The office was brightly lit, with engineers still working overtime to debug new functional modules. Nathan was in the conference room having a video conference with new clients. Seeing me come in, everyone greeted me. "Mr. Holden, we saved dinner for you. It's in the break room." "Mr. Holden, the new version can go live tomorrow." "Mr. Holden, the client said they're very satisfied with our system. They want to visit the company next week." I nodded and walked into my office. On the wall hung a piece of calligraphy I wrote myself. "Value comes from ability. Dignity comes from choice." I sat down, opened my computer, and began writing the design documentation for the new system. Outside the window, the snow was still falling, but my world was finally beginning to warm up.
That's the end of today's story. For more captivating tales, hit subscribe and never miss an episode.